Okay, so the remaining stories we have of Volume 1 are this Nightwing and Supergirl story, a Nightwing and Speedy story, a Jonathan Crane story, and a Jack Ryder story. After that, it will tell the events of Volume 1 in timeline order of how it takes place. And then we get a little trailer for the beginning of Volume 2 of my DC Horror Universe.
Nightwing and Supergirl #1, A Name in the Sun, Metropolis shines. It doesn't brood like Gotham. It doesn't grind like Bloodhaven. It gleams. Nightwing and Supergirl streak across the skyline, cape and domino mask cutting through golden sunlight. Supergirl smiles mid-flight. See? I told you it was brighter here. Nightwing squints. I feel like I need sunglasses. Do you guys sell those with the S logo? Focus, she laughs, pointing downward. Downtown Metropolis is in chaos. Cars are overturned. Civilians scatter. In the center of Centennial Plaza stands Metallo, kryptonite heart glowing sickly green. Beside him towers a massive mechanical monstrosity shaped like a wind-up clown crossed with a tank. Inside the glass dome cockpit, the Toyman. Oh good, Nightwing mutters as they land. It's Murderbot and Creepy Christmas. Metallo spots them first. Well, if it isn't the Girl of Steel, he sneers. And discount Batman.
Christmas.
Nightwing places a hand on his chest. Wow, I just left Gotham and I'm already getting compared to him again. A red and blue blur slams into the pavement. Superman. You picked the wrong city, Clark says calmly. Metallo roars and charges. Supergirl rockets forward to intercept him, the two Kryptonians colliding with bone-rattling force. Nightwing looks up at the Toyman's towering robot. The giant suit raises a missile pod. Okay, Nightwing sighs. Guess I'll take the toy aisle. He fires his grapnel, flipping onto the robot's shoulder as missiles launch toward the street below. Clark darts away from Metallo just long enough to vaporize the missiles midair. Thanks, Nightwing calls. Anytime, Clark answers, before taking another kryptonite-powered punch. Nightwing lands on the robot's back plating. Let's see what Bruce packed for me. He flips open a compact hacking device from his belt. Sleek Wayne Tech, one of the few pieces Bruce let him keep. Come on, don't make me regret moving out. He jams it into an exposed access port beneath the cockpit. Inside, Toyman panics. Unauthorized access. Unauthorized access. Nightwing smirks. Hi, tech support. He types rapidly. Below, Supergirl drives Metallo into the pavement with a thunderous crash. Clark pins Metallo's arm, grimacing from the kryptonite radiation. Now would be good, Clark calls out. Almost there, Nightwing shouts. Toyman activates the robot's override. The machine begins charging a citywide sonic blast. Nightwing winces. Oh, that's not good. He reroutes the power grid through the suit's own targeting system. Let's try sleep mode. The robot freezes mid-charge. Lights flicker. System shut down. The massive suit tilts sideways. Clark? Nightwing yells. Superman streaks forward, bracing the falling machine before it can crush the street below. Asphalt cracks under his boots as he lowers it gently onto its side. Supergirl hauls Metallo up by the collar. And stay down, she says. Sirens approach, police swarm in. Within minutes, both villains are restrained and loaded into armored transport. Metropolis exhales. Rooftop reflections later. Nightwing sits on the edge of a skyscraper overlooking the city. The sun hasn't fully set yet. The sky is painted orange and gold. He leans back on his hands. Okay, he says softly. I get it now. Clark lands beside him. Get what? Why you stay here? Clark smiles faintly. It's home. Nightwing nods. It's different from Gotham. Clark chuckles. That's one word for it. They sit in comfortable silence for a moment. You did good today, Clark says. Yeah? You didn't try to outdo anyone. You didn't try to prove anything. You just helped. Nightwing considers that. I'm still figuring out who I am without the R. Clark nods slowly. There was a hero on Krypton, he says. Nightwing glances over. Yeah? A long time ago, before my world ended. Clark looks out at the skyline. He was a protector, not a king, not a soldier. He didn't fight for glory. He fought for people. Nightwing listens quietly. His name was Nightwing. Dick blinks. Nightwing, Clark nods. He and his partner, Flamebird, protected Krypton's cities from the shadows. He believed in justice, not fear. The name lingers in the air. Nightwing. Dick smiles. I like that. Clark smiles back. I thought you might. The wind picks up slightly. Nightwing stands, looking out over Metropolis one more time. Nightwing, he says again, testing it. It fits. Clark stands too. So what's next? Nightwing grins. Well, I promised Roy I'd check in. Clark laughs. Speedy? Yeah, and knowing him, he's probably already in trouble. Nightwing steps to the ledge. Guess it's time to see how Nightwing and Speedy sounds. He leaps into the open air. Metropolis gleams beneath him. A new name cuts across the sky. To be continued in Nightwing and Speedy.
And then we get Nightwing and Speedy, because I wanted to do some... Okay, after the Arkham stuff, I wanted to kind of get away from the horror part and also add in some noir with Nightwing Noir #1. The blockbuster story will come back at some point, I think. But I wanted to get away from that part and do some noir, some comedy, with the Titans and the Nightwing and Supergirl thing, and yeah.
Nightwing and Speedy. Arrows in the Dark Star City hums differently than Gotham. Cleaner skyline, greener rooftops, still just as many criminals. Nightwing lands lightly on a gargoyle overlooking downtown. Miss me? He calls. From the opposite rooftop, an arrow thunks into the stone beside his foot. Little rusty on your landings, Grayson, Roy Harper says, stepping out of the shadows with a grin. Nightwing looks down at the arrow. You almost scuffed the boots. Almost. They clasp forearms briefly. So, Nightwing says, glancing toward the city. Where's Ollie? Roy exhales through his nose. Vertigo, again. Nightwing winces. He's still getting away? Yeah, a lot lately. Roy's tone tightens. But that's not why I called you. Nightwing raises an eyebrow. This sounds serious, Roy nods once. I think Oliver's getting help. I think Oliver's getting help. Smile fades. Help? From your old man. A beat. Nightwing folds his arms. Bruce doesn't help people like that. I'm just saying, Roy shrugs. There's been outside intel. Timing's too perfect. Nightwing shakes his head. If Bruce is involved, it's not to make Vertigo's life easier. Roy lets it go. Either way, that's Ollie's problem tonight. I called you for something smaller. Smaller's good, Nightwing says. My schedule's been very giant robot heavy lately. Roy pulls out a tablet and taps the screen. Francis Doran, a.k.a. Acrobat. Nightwing tilts his head. That's subtle. One of Ollie's older villains, Roy explains. Master Archer, world-class acrobat, thinks he's a circus legend. Nightwing smirks. Oh, I'm already offended. He hits banks, jewelry stores, nothing huge, just enough to stay annoying. Nightwing nods. Where? Roy points toward the financial district. Star
Yes,
City Savings.
this is an
Silent
actual
alarm tripped 5
Green-
minutes ago.
Green
Nightwing
Arrow
grins.
villain.
Roy smirks back. You're on. The acrobat inside the bank, security guards lie zip-tied near the entrance. A man flips effortlessly between marble pillars, bow in hand, a duffel bag slung across his back. Balance, Francis Doran mutters to himself as he lands on a chandelier. Precision, grace. Nightwing crashes through a side window. Modesty? Acrobat spins midair, firing an arrow instantly. Nightwing twists aside. The arrow embeds in the wall. Nice shot, Nightwing says. Bit dramatic with the chandelier, though. Yep, another arrow whistles toward him, this one splitting mid-flight into 3 smaller shafts. Roy's arrow intercepts 2. The third grazes Nightwing's shoulder as he flips behind a column. Hey, Nightwing calls. You didn't say he did trick arrows. Roy vaults through the doorway, firing rapidly. He's from Ollie's era. They all do trick arrows. Acrobat somersaults off the chandelier, landing between them. You boys lack refinement, he sneers. Nightwing twirls an eskrima stick. You rob banks in tights. Performance attire. Roy launches a net arrow. Acrobat slices through it mid-air and cartwheels across a desk. Nightwing lunges forward, matching him flip for flip. For a moment, it's almost elegant. 2 acrobats dancing through the air. Then Nightwing sweeps Doran's legs mid-spin. Roy pins his bow hand with a precisely placed arrow into the floor. Nightwing plants a boot lightly on his chest. Curtain call, he says. Police sirens wail outside. Doran scowls. You're not even from this city. Nightwing shrugs. Guest appearance. Rooftop truths later. The city is quieter. Police cruisers disappear below. Nightwing and Roy sit on the edge of a rooftop overlooking Star City's harbor. Roy breaks the silence. You didn't tell me something. Nightwing doesn't look at him. About? That bird-themed lady you mentioned at the tower. Roy narrows his eyes. Magpie. Nightwing exhales slowly. She's working for someone. Roy waits. Name's Blockbuster. Roy's expression shifts slightly. I don't know much about him, he admits, but he used to run rackets here, years ago. Nightwing turns. Here? Yeah, before he moved. Eventually to Gotham, back in Bruce's early years, before you and me were running around rooftops. Nightwing's jaw tightens. And then he left, Roy continues. After a bad run-in with, he stops. Nightwing's eyes sharpen. That means he's in Bloodhaven. Roy nods once. Yeah. The wind moves between them. Nightwing stares out toward the horizon, toward the direction of his city. His city. Roy bumps his shoulder lightly. You gonna change your name again if this guy becomes a problem? Nightwing smirks faintly. No. He looks at Roy. You going to? Roy leans back on his hands. Nope. He grins. I like Speedy. Nightwing nods approvingly. Good. They sit there a moment longer, two former sidekicks who chose their own shadows. The city lights flicker below. Somewhere far away, in Bloodhaven, something bigger is moving. Nightwing stands. Guess I've got a city to get back to. Roy stands too. Try not to get blown up by any more bird ladies. No promises. Nightwing fires his grapnel and swings into the night. Roy watches him go. Star City settles. The wind shifts toward Bloodhaven. The end.
And now we get the Arkham Stories number 2.10, Fragile Things. This takes place before number 1 of this storyline. This is another Magpie story, but it is also the Jonathan Crane story I mentioned.
The Arkham Stories number 2.10, Fragile Things. Classified Arkham Archive, preceding Magpie incident. Arkham is quiet in the lower levels. Not peaceful. Never peaceful. Just quiet enough for something wrong to happen without witnesses. Inside a sealed observation chamber, Dr. Jonathan Crane adjusts the pressure valves on a cylindrical canister filled with swirling amber vapor. The fear toxin. Crane's thin lips curl slightly as he observes the woman strapped to the reinforced chair across from him. Margaret Pye. Magpie. Her eyes move constantly, not from panic, but from searching. The overhead light glints against the metal restraints. She smiles faintly. Shiny, she whispers. Crane tilts his head. Miss Pye, he says softly, voice almost gentle. You have a fascinating pathology. Compulsive acquisition. Replacement ritualism symbolization. Margaret blinks at him. You're not shiny. Crane ignores the comment. I wish to understand what you fear. She giggles. I don't fear. I collect. Crane presses a button. The chamber seals. Gas begins to hiss into the air. Margaret inhales. At first, nothing. Then, her pupils dilate. Her breathing quickens. Crane watches intently from behind the reinforced glass. Tell me what you see. Margaret's head turns slowly toward the corner of the room. Her smile fades. The fluorescent light above her flickers. I don't like that one, she murmurs. Crane leans forward. What one? Her hands strain slightly against the restraints. It's dull. Her voice trembles, not from terror, from disgust. The air in the chamber seems heavier now. Margaret's gaze locks onto the observation glass, directly at Crane. No, she says softly. Crane frowns. The toxin dosage is calibrated precisely. Hallucinations should be manifesting as archetypal fear responses. Predators, darkness, trauma symbols. Instead, Margaret begins laughing. But there's no joy in it. The laugh fractures halfway through. Her eyes snap upward again. It's breaking, she whispers. Crane scribbles notes rapidly. Describe it. It's not shiny anymore. Her breathing becomes erratic. She pulls against the restraints harder. The mirror mounted behind her, standard observation equipment, begins to tremble slightly. Crane doesn't notice at first. He's too busy watching her neurological spikes on the monitor. Your fear, Miss Pye. Focus on your fear. She suddenly screams, not from terror, from rage. The mirror behind her splinters outward in a violent crack. Crane startles. Margaret twists violently, blood appearing where glass has cut her cheek. But she isn't looking at the broken mirror. She's staring at something reflected in it. No, she repeats softly, too bright. Crane narrows his eyes. The toxin dispersal stabilizes. Dosage within expected range, yet her fear response is inconsistent. No predator, no childhood trauma manifestation, just light and fracture. Crane activates the chamber ventilation. The gas clears. Margaret slumps forward slightly as the restraints loosen. Her breathing steadies. She begins humming. Shiny, she murmurs again. Crane enters the chamber cautiously. He kneels to examine the shattered mirror. Odd. The fracture pattern radiates outward from behind her, not from the front. He glances at Margaret. Curious, he mutters. She tilts her head at him. You're cracked, she says quietly. Crane stands. No, he replies calmly. You are. He signals for guards. As Margaret is escorted away, she looks over her shoulder at the broken glass and smiles. Arkham Experimental Log Addendum. Subject, Margaret Pye, administering physician Dr. Jonathan Crane. Standard fear archetypes did not fully manifest. Subject fixation shifted toward reflective stimuli. Mirror fracture occurred under unexplained pressure stress. Psychological instability increased post-exposure. Recommend continued observation. Crane closes the file. He does not record the brief flicker in the lights, nor does he record the way the air temperature dropped for precisely 3 seconds during peak toxin exposure. Instead, he writes one final note. Conclusion: subject psyche is already fractured. Fear toxin amplifies instability rather than generating traditional phobias. The lower levels of Arkham return to silence, but something in Margaret Pye's mind has been nudged, not broken, just widened. End of file.
And then we get the Jack Ryder story. And if you can't tell, I'm doing with Magpie. She is a neat freak, basically. To where she has to keep her shiny stuff shiny.
The Gotham News #1. Riding with Ryder, Gotham doesn't whisper. It mutters, it lies, it bleeds between headlines, and no one listens closer than Jack Ryder. Live broadcast, Gotham City News. The red light flashes. 3, 2, 1. Jack Ryder smiles into the camera. Good evening, Gotham. I'm Jack Ryder, and tonight we begin with philanthropy, billionaires, and the ever-persistent question, can Gotham ever truly clean itself up? Across from him sits Bruce Wayne, immaculate as ever. Mr. Wayne, Ryder begins smoothly, Wayne Enterprises' renewed investment into Gotham's East End redevelopment has drawn praise and skepticism. How do you respond to critics who say the city's problems can't be solved with money? Bruce folds his hands calmly. Money doesn't solve problems, Mr. Ryder. People do. We're just giving them the tools. Ryder tilts his head slightly. And what of Arkham? Another breakout last month. Another cleanup. Bruce's expression doesn't change. Arkham is a medical institution. It treats illness. Ryder smirks faintly. Some illnesses bite. A brief silence. Bruce offers a polite smile. Then we keep treating them. The broadcast transitions. Ryder turns back to the camera. In other news, authorities confirm that the Riddler has been returned to Arkham Asylum following his latest attempt to outsmart Gotham's infrastructure grid. City engineers assure us that question mark-shaped blackouts are no longer a concern. A graphic flashes. Up next, is Arkham failing its patients? And what does that mean for the rest of us? The red light clicks off. Clear. Bruce stands. Always a pleasure, Jack. Likewise, Ryder replies, but his eyes linger a moment longer than necessary. Later that night, Jack's apartment is dimly lit, shoes kicked off, tie loosened. A microphone sits on a small desk beside a laptop. He hits record. A different tone enters his voice, less polished, sharper. Welcome back to Riding with Ryder. Off the record. Off the leash. He leans back in his chair. Tonight, let's talk about Arkham. He scrolls through files on his screen. Margaret Pye, a.k.a. Magpie, career thief, obsession with replacing stolen items with explosive replicas, recently suffered what Arkham officials are calling a psychological break. He scoffs. Funny thing about that word, break, like something just snaps. He taps the desk. What caused it? Was it fear, trauma, another failed experiment in that madhouse? He exhales slowly. Or is Arkham less hospital and more pressure cooker? He pauses. For those of you keeping score, Magpie had been relatively stable before her latest confinement. No public incidents, no major outbursts. He leans closer to the mic. So what changed? Silence hangs for a moment. Ryder rubs his face. You know what? I need a drink. He clicks off the recording. The bar rain slicks Gotham sidewalks. Neon signs buzz overhead. Jack steps into a bar he doesn't remember seeing before. It's quiet. Warm light, dark wood, no crowd. Strange for Gotham. He approaches the counter. "Whiskey," he says. "Neat." The bartender smiles pleasantly. "Of course." The man moves with unhurried precision, pouring amber liquid into a clean glass. Jack studies him. Tall, well-dressed, eyes that seem amused by something only he understands. Jack lifts the glass but doesn't drink yet. "Man," he says casually, "I didn't ask your name." The bartender sets the bottle down gently. "Oh," he replies smoothly, "I am the fine owner of this establishment." He extends a hand. "My name is Lucifer Morningstar." Jack pauses mid-sip. "That's a hell of a name." Lucifer's smile widens slightly. "Yes, it is." The rain outside grows heavier. Jack finally takes a drink. And for the first time that night, he feels like he's stepped into a story bigger than the news. To be continued.
And no, I don't think the Lucifer Morningstar part's going anywhere. I just wanted to add him in as the bartender of his own bar. Because it is a noir type setting storyline. Okay, so here's how I'm going to do. I'm going to have Jack Ryder be the conspiracy theorist. And Vicky Vale be the news lady who wants to tell the truth. And then have someone like Summer Gleason just do the news or something. Who knows? But yeah. Anyways, now we're going into the timeline order of Volume 1.
Here's the official chronological timeline order for Volume 1 of your universe, arranged by when events occur in story, not release order. Shadow, Volume 1, timeline order. Number 1, Teen Titans Number 1, The OGs, Part 1, The Originals. Robin, Dick Grayson, Kid Flash, Wally West, Speedy, Roy Harper, Wonder Girl, Donna Troy, Aqualad, Garth, and Supergirl operate as the original Titans. They defeat Condiment King, Prankster, and Trickster. Number 2, Teen Titans Number 1, The OGs, Part 2, The Newcomers, Parademon Invasion. Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy enter the picture. Starfire crash lands and joins the team. The Titans expand. Nightwing. Bloodhaven Noir Number 1, Dick has recently left being Robin. He debuts in Bloodhaven. First encounter with Magpie, hired by Blockbuster. Barbara gives him intel on Margaret Pye. He begins forming his independent identity. 4, Teen Titans Number 1, The OGs, Part 3, The Party. Now fully operating as Nightwing. Titan celebration for Beast Boy. Team unity solidified. Metropolis Alert sets up the next story. High 5, Nightwing and Supergirl Number 1, A Name in the Sun. Nightwing helps Superman and Supergirl defeat Metallo and Toyman. Clark tells Dick about the Kryptonian hero Nightwing. Dick adopts the name permanently. 6, Nightwing and Speedy, Arrows in the Dark. Star City mission with Roy Harper. Francis Doran, Acrobat, is defeated. Roy reveals Blockbuster once operated in Star City before moving to Gotham. Nightwing realizes Blockbuster is now in Bloodhaven. The Arkham Stories 2.10, Fragile Things, set before Arkham Stories Number 1. Dr. Jonathan Crane experiments on Margaret Pye with fear toxin. Psychological instability deepens. Early fracture signs appear. 8, The Arkham Stories Number 1, Magpie. News report of Magpie's crimes. Interview sessions with Dr. Hugo Strange. Shadow sightings begin. Her mental deterioration becomes visible. 9, The Arkham Stories 2, Shattered Reflections. File reveals Tallyman assassination attempt. Penguin connections. Strange walks Arkham corridors. Magpie breaks again. Blood and shattered mirror. 10, The Arkham Stories Number 2.5, Clinical Observations. Dr. Hugo Strange audio log. Magpie placed in secure containment. Stable, for now. Officially no mention of spectral elements. 11, The Gotham News Number 1, Riding with Ryder. Jack Ryder interviews Bruce Wayne. Riddler returned to Arkham. Ryder investigates Magpie's breakdown, meets Lucifer Morningstar. End of Volume 1. Volume 1 Arc Summary. The Titans era transitions from Robin to Nightwing. Blockbuster is quietly positioned as a future threat in Bloodhaven. Arkham's instability deepens through Crane and Strange's involvement. Magpie becomes a psychological through line connecting Gotham's criminal underworld. The supernatural undertone begins surfacing. Jack Ryder becomes the audience lens investigating the cracks beneath Gotham.
And now, the trailer for Volume 2. Volume 2 official trailer.
Volume 2, official trailer, No Place Like Home black screen. Distant thunder, a single green question mark flickers into view. Sirens cut through the night. A GCPD transport van rolls slowly through iron gates toward Arkham Asylum. Rain streaks down reinforced windows. Inside the back of the van, shackled and smirking, sits Riddler. He hums softly. A guard mutters, "Don't start." Riddler tilts his head, "Riddle me this." The van passes beneath the looming shadow of the asylum's towers. Why do I keep coming back here? Lightning flashes. The gates slam shut behind the transport. Riddler grins wider, eyes reflecting the storm. Answer? The van doors open. Arkham's doors creak inward. Because there's no place like home. The screen cuts to black. A faint echo of laughter lingers. Volume 2 begins.
So Volume 2 will be solely focused on Riddler mainly. The other one was focused on Nightwing and Magpie. This one will be solely focused on Riddler and the mantle of Robin. Not Dick Grayson, but the mantle of Robin. Once I work on Volume 2, aside from this trailer. Since I'm going to do it where each new volume of my horror universe gets a trailer. And each volume will end with a Gotham News story. And some of Volume 2 will take place before stuff that happened in Volume 1 in timeline order, and after stuff that happened in Volume 1 in timeline order. Like how this trailer takes place during the same time as the Jack Ryder story, since in that story it says Riddler just got returned back to Arkham. And that's what we see in this story, him getting returned back to Arkham.